Yogita, Satupa, am I audible? Hello, Satupa,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, thank you so much, thank you. So I'm just sharing my screen. Just wait for a couple of minutes or so. Okay. Is my slide visible to everyone? Can somebody confirm? Okay, okay, I think it would be visible anyway. Okay, shall I start? No, I think I shall start. Okay, so let's start the today's session. So today is the last session of the course Architectural Conservation and Historic Preservation. The course coordinator is, of course, Professor Sangamitra Basu Madam, and myself, the teaching assistant for this course. I am a PMRF scholar at Department of Architecture and Planning, IIT Roorkee. So, yeah. How come I have lost my connection? Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen. Wait for a minute. Is my slide visible? Is my slide visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. So, this is the last session for the course Architectural Conservation and Historic Preservation. So, this is the week 8 session. So, let's start. The topics covered in the previous week, the lecture of previous week would be the new buildings in historic settings, then the heritage impact assessment, adaptive reuse, okay, and then the heritage conservation. Wait for a minute. Yeah, heritage conservation, then heritage conservation in Indian perspective, and then heritage issues and potentials. Okay, so these were the topics which were covered in the previous week. Okay, so now coming to the elements of townscape. So this will be, this might be, this would have been discussed in the new buildings in the historic settings part. Okay. Yeah, so the topics covered were the new buildings in the historic settings, the heritage impact assessment, the adaptive reuse, heritage conservation, and then heritage conservation in Indian perspective, and then heritage issues and potentials. So now coming to the next slide, just okay. So the elements of townscape. So the elements of townscape are grain, mass, that is plot width, building line, silhouette, that is the skyline, color and texture, scale, and visual density or fenestrations. So the first is grain. So what is grain? It is the texture of the historic property. When seen from the above, it is in 2D map. So when seen from the above, it shows the texture of the historic property with topography, morphology, build form. Okay, someone is asking to join. Let me enter him. Okay. So there are two types of grains. One is the coarse grain and the fine grain. Coarse grain are having the larger area and fine grain with the smaller area. Now coming to the second element of townscape, which is the mass and plot width. It explains the texture of historic property with topography, morphology, and built form. Building line. So these are the major and minor building lines need to be identified. So you can see the building facade of this one. So this is the facade of a building. So the major lines, how it goes, how the building is constructed. So these, the horizontal lines and the vertical lines, when they are drawn on a paper, so this is the texture, this is the building line which has to be constructed. And similarly in the rightmost part, we can see the building lines in the vertical portion, and also these are the building lines which are the elements of townscape. Now coming to the building setback, you all might be aware of about the setback. Building setback is the area which we leave in front or the side or the rear setback. So when we see this building, so these are the setbacks which has been left. The front setback is there, it is being depicted in the diagram, we can see. So these are the elements of townscape. Now coming to the skyline. So for any city or for any urban fabric, the skyline is very important. Like in this case, we can see the skyline of temples, mosques, and everything, and the other things, even the churches. We can have the skyline of these buildings. So these represents the city. The cities have their unique skyline. Like if we have the skyline of Taj Mahal and all, we can say that this is the Agra city. Or if we have the black image or the silhouette of Qutub Minar or Red Fort, we can easily identify the city that it is Delhi or some other city or else. Okay, so this is the silhouette or skyline. Now coming to scale, so we already have discussed scale. What is the scale? Monumental scale, human scale, and the other scales you all might have learned during the previous week. So color and texture. You all know that color and texture plays an important role in a building. Fine. So these are the elements of townscape. Again, the color and texture have a psychological impact on the human being and the human day-to-day activities. And the last one is visual density and fenestrations. So fenestrations are the details and the openings which is there in the building. So if we see in the front or rear or the side, what are the openings like doors and windows, the ventilations. So these are the visual details in form of fenestrations or openings. Like in this picture, we can see that these are the windows, again the doors in the ground floor. So these are the fenestrations which define the visual density of the building block. Okay, now coming to the heritage impact assessment in historic built settings. So this is an example of Bhubaneswar which has been taken from the lecture material. Okay, so this is the heritage impact assessment in the historic settings. This has been taken from the unpublished MCP dissertation of Department of Architecture and Regional Planning, IIT Kharagpur of 2012, done by Vishwati Chatterjee. It is the integrated urban conservation of Bhubaneswar Old Town. So in this project, the Bhubaneswar old core of the city have been discussed, and the heritage impact assessment for that has been done. Okay, the same we can see the visual lines, again the skyline we can see of any streetscape of this is in case of Bhubaneswar, of course. In the second picture we can see the temple and the adjacent building blocks, which has been shown in the form of blocks. Okay, and then the last picture is the area of visual linkage to the Lingaraj temple. So how the Lingaraj temple is being linked with the other areas. So these are the pathways and how it is linked with the other areas of Bhubaneswar. Okay, so this is all the part of the heritage impact assessment, which was a project at IIT Kharagpur. Okay, so now these are some of the projects which has been done in Kanchipuram or Amritsar. So these are all the part of heritage impact assessment. So like in the first picture of Kanchipuram, we can see the changing streetscape, the traditional houses, the street pattern, the building material which has been used, the condition of the houses has been discussed. Similarly, in the case of Amritsar, the building fenestrations are, we can see, the skyline we can see, the streetscape, the building mass, the scale. These are all relevant in terms of, it is also important in the heritage impact assessment, which is being done for the any historic setting. Okay, so now coming to the topic adaptive reuse. So this is an example of San Francisco Ferry Building. So it is a large steel framed building which was built in 1892, which has transformed into a retail and restaurant space. So this building is now transformed into a retail and restaurant space on the ground floor and focuses on the local and sustainable products. So during the adaptive reuse of the buildings, the main focus was on the local and sustainable product in terms of material selection. Fine. Now coming in this case only, the combination of transit offices use and unique retail makes the ferry building a destination for locals and tourists, like stimulating the waterfront. This is the case of the second project of the San Francisco Ferry Building. Now, Distillery District, Toronto, Ontario of Canada. So this is the another example of adaptive reuse. So this distillery district is a commercial and residential district in Canada, in the Toronto. Okay, so Distillery district is a commercial and residential district. So Godharam and Watts use the largest distiller in Canada. The distillery facility on the Toronto waterfront was closed in 1990s. So in 1990s, the waterfront was closed. Then again in 2001, the site was purchased by the Cityscape Holdings, which transformed the district into a pedestrian oriented area. So this was the adaptive reuse done to the building, so it of the area, so it was transformed into a pedestrian oriented area. So this is another example of Danish Tavern of Serampur, West Bengal. Okay, so in the second picture, the highlighting picture, we can see the Danish settlement with tavern of 1790 in West Bengal, and in the rightmost part picture we can see how this has been conserved and the adaptive reuse for the same has been done. Okay, so now coming to the heritage legislative and organizational policies for India. So there are various legislations and policies in India related to heritage conservation and preservation. So among them is the first, the organization, which is the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI. This is the organizational policies. So this is the Archaeological Survey of India, which was founded in 1861 in the British Indian Empire by the ministry, and now it is being run by the Ministry of Culture organization. So it is responsible for the archaeological research and the conservation and preservation of the cultural monuments in the country, and it has several circles throughout the country being headed by the superintending archaeologist. So the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India was Alexander Cunningham, and ASI administered more than 3,650 ancient monuments, archaeological sites and remains of national importance. So currently more than 3,650 ancient monuments and sites has been listed under ASI list, and these can include everything that is from temples, mosques, churches, tombs, cemeteries to places, forts. Again, the step wells have been included, the rock cut caves have been included, and the state government archaeological department uh, take care of these in the respective states. The second legislation and the act is Amsar Act, which is the Ancient Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act of 1958. So the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act, it was again amended and validated in 2010 under the concurrent act. So now the other legislatives and acts policies are the Government of India draft model regulation, both for the natural and man-made heritage. Again, the revised model regulations given a statutory force under the revised Environmental Protection Act in 1986. Then the Modern Heritage Bill is there. State, town and country planning acts are there, like for Punjab regional and town planning development, which was amended in 2003, the West Bengal Heritage Commission Act of 2001, Urban Art Commission, which we can see in Bangalore and Delhi, of course. Then World Heritage Sites, as we all know, there are around 40 World Heritage Sites in India. Large archaeological and heritage sites like Champaner, Pavagadh Archaeological Park, World Heritage Area Management Authority Act of 2006 is there. Then Cantonment Act of 2006 is there, which takes care of the heritage property in their jurisdiction. Okay, now coming to the some other policies and acts, organizational issues for heritage conservations. So these are the issues in the present day. So need for a nodal ministry. There is no any such nodal ministry concerned with the heritage conservation. It acts even different ministries take care of that, like the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministry of Culture takes care of that. Then the proper need of listing, proper listing and documentation should be there. Field organization like National Mission on Monuments and Antiquities, listing by large organizations are missing. Combined and centralized listing and documentation is missing in India. Then again, the heritage advisors and heritage advisory committees like heritage conservation committees. Okay, so there was a project in 2015. It was launched in 2015 by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. That was Hriday, Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. So it was launched in India to take care and to develop the infrastructural facilities around the heritage areas in the identified cities. And 12 cities were identified under this scheme throughout India. Okay, now other organizations in, so there is a NGO called INTAC, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, which looks after the different heritage like architectural heritage, natural heritage. So it has various divisions and various chapters, more than 200 chapters throughout India, and various divisions, and the headquarter of it is in New Delhi. And it looks after different types of heritage like architectural heritage, natural heritage, material heritage, even the intangible cultural heritage is there. It also works in the field of education and communication services. So it has a dedicated division of HECS, that is the Heritage Education and Communication Services. It works in the field of craft and community cell. It have different chapters. I already said that it has around 200 chapters, more than 200 chapters throughout India. Then it has an Intact Heritage Academy, which runs various short-term courses on the field of heritage and other courses related to heritage. Then Heritage Tourism Division is there, Listing Cell and Library is there. So listing cell is responsible for documentation and listing of the heritage properties throughout India. So they coordinate with the other divisions, and the listing cell coordinate with the chapters and work in the field of listing and documentation. Then Archives and Documentation Center is there, where we can find the archives, the old books and the various uh, mm, I mean the various old books and documents related to heritage and heritage conservation. So this is the Governing Council and Executive Council of intact. So the topmost is the chaired by the chairman, then vice chairman, then we have the member secretary, and below that, in the lowest of the hierarchy, we have several chapters. Chapters are being headed by the principal directors, and then they are being reported by the director programs. And further, we have several architects. We have urban, I mean, the intact have several architects. Intact have several urban planners, historians, and other professional in fields of heritage. Okay, so now coming to the other organization. So this is Shahapedia. So it is another organization in the field of heritage. So it is an open online resource on arts, culture and heritage of India. So Saha Sanskrit means together with. Saha. So Saha means in Sanskrit together with is an invitation to explore together the richness of our cultural landscape. So the various sections in Sahapedia are, so this is just like an encyclopedia in the field of heritage. So you all can Google it, and you go through this website, the Sahapedia, you will find tremendous amount of information in terms of in the field of knowledge tradition, that is the Indian knowledge system and other knowledge traditions. Then in the field of visual and material arts, performing arts, literature and languages, practice and rituals, histories, then institutions, people, built spaces and natural environment. So actually this setup and this website is being developed for education and awareness purpose. Okay. So now these are the various organizations which deal in the field of heritage and heritage conservation. These are the organizations like Intact, I have just discussed, then Sahapedia, then the other is the Heritage Foundation, then Indian Trust for Rural Heritage and Development. It deals in the field of rural heritage. Then the other organizations are Calcutta Architectural Legacies, then the other banglanatak.com. These are the various organizations and various platforms and various voluntary organizations, NGOs, and there are many organizations which are people led, community led organizations who work in the field of heritage. Okay, so coming to the topic of tourism, heritage tourism and sustainability. Okay, so this is an example of Mojerish tourism. So heritage tourism and sustainability, these are the snapshots of the project. So the first and the foremost is the presentation and interpretation. So presentation denotes the carefully planned communication of interpretive content through the arrangement of interpretive information, physical access and interpretive infrastructure at a cultural heritage site. And it can be conveyed through a variety of technical means, like including such elements like information panels. So mainly it deals with the presentation and interpretation, how a culture should be interpreted, how it should be promoted, and how it should be showcased. Like information panels are being developed, museum type displays are there, formalized walking tours, like walking tours is there, guided tours are there, heritage walks are there, multimedia applications, we can have mobile applications, we can have online platforms, we can have websites and various online other platforms. So these are the ways of interpreting a heritage site, a heritage precinct, and presenting it. How a person present, that is the person how they will receive it. So the well is the presentation, the person get the feeling and get the sense of belongingness and get attached to the heritage. Okay, so the other sections are the heritage tourism and sustainability. So this is the heritage walk of Ahmedabad. This is the brochure of heritage walk of Ahmedabad. Fine. So heritage walk in fact is one of the major event which is being taken up by the various heritage societies and heritage organizations for the awareness and education purposes. So this heritage walk is being undertaken and being designed by Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation in the historic core of Ahmedabad. Okay, now coming to the other organization and in the field of heritage tourism and sustainability, which is the United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development, Habitat 3. So there are 4 issue papers on urban culture and heritage. So these deal with the culture. This says like culture plays an increasing role in the local economy through monetary and non-monetary values. Okay, so it says that monetary and non-monetary values both are associated with the culture, fine, in the local economy. Then culture based urban regeneration experiences have been multiplying. So in the recent days and in the ongoing in the modern world, the culture based urban regeneration has been promoted and is being promoted through various schemes and projects of the government. Then urban challenges must be addressed through the culture based urban development schemes. Okay, so we can see that the historic core, the historic layer in the cities are being dilapidated and are on the condition of being decayed. So these challenges, the urban pressure on the historic core and the heritage areas, should be addressed through the culture based urban development. So culture based urban planning and culture based urban development schemes and policies should be strengthened. Okay, the 240 World Heritage Cities and 69 Creative City provide urban laboratories to include culture in urban strategic planning. So you all please go through this, the 240 World Heritage Cities. So you can find it on the website of the UNESCO, and 69 creative cities. These are the urban laboratories. Means these are the live laboratories where we can have, where we can experience and where we can so that we can have it as a case study to learn about the urban strategic planning in terms of culture and history. Okay, so the key drivers for action are including heritage in territorial planning instruments. Again, the same thing, means heritage inclusive planning should be there. Enhancing culture and heritage to improve urban environment and public spaces. Again, it is saying, means during the improvement of the environment and public spaces, that is the spaces around the heritage areas in the urban context, culture should be included and culture should be the part of that. Then supporting the contribution of culture to local economy. Okay, so culture should be taken care of in terms of economy, that it should contribute in the local economy. Okay, valorizing culture values to build social cohesion and mitigate conflicts. Conflicts should be mitigated and culture should be included to generate social cohesion. Okay, community engagement should be there, community participation should be there to promote cultural activities. Again, improving access to basic services in historic centers. So so this I think deals with the basic infrastructure. So these are the basic infrastructure should be there in and around the historic centers, like the approach should be good, the basic facilities should be good, the public amenities should be good. So these are the key drivers for action in the field of culture and heritage. Okay, so we have discussed various topics which were covered in the past week. So these are the elements of townscape. So these are grain, okay, mass and the plot width. This deals with the streetscape, of course. Okay, let me change the slide. So this is the grain. It can be a coarse grain or fine grain. I'm just revising it. Okay. Then this,
Will you repeat about the grain?
yeah, grains are the texture of the historic property in 2D form. Okay, so like the white portion, which is the curve white portion, these are the streets, and the black portions are the built blocks. Okay, so these are the grains. The narrower will be the streets, it will have a fine grain. In the first picture we can
Okay.
see, yeah, in the first picture we can see the building blocks are of in the large area. Okay, so this will be of coarse grain. Okay, so this is in the 2D picture we can see this, fine. So this deals with the topography and morphology and the built form,
Okay.
fine. Yeah, then the towns elements of the townscape, the another is the mass and plot width.
Uh,
This actually is dealing with the street
Excuse me,
width.
what is the morphology?
Sorry.
Morphology?
Yeah, morphology is how the
What is the
evolution.
meaning of morpho?
Yeah, I'm just discussing that only. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Have I lost my
No, yes, yes.
Hello. Hello. Can anyone reply, please?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Fine, fine, fine. So morphology, as I was discussing, it is the way in which the buildings have been evolved. Okay. So how they have evolved, how they are organically placed, how they are organically developing. So this is a kind of morphology, you say. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so evolution of anything, like evolution of building, evolution of the city, how it has evolved, how it has organically placed, और वो कैसे अपने आप में वो बढ़ रहा है. So that is the thing. ठीक है. Okay. So these are the building setback. We all know the front setback, rear setback, and the side setbacks. So this also depends on the width of the street, the height of the buildings. This is the skyline silhouette, we can say, the skyline of the urban fabric. The skyline differs from city to city. The scale, the human scale, monumental scale, and the various others scale, the color, textures. Now coming to the visual density and the fenestrations. Fenestrations are the openings and the various details in terms of windows, ventilators, and then doors and all. Okay, so a project was there of heritage impact assessment. We have learned about the Bhubaneswar, Kanchipur, and Amritsar case study. Adaptive reuse case study was discussed in the lecture of San Francisco Ferry Building and the Distillery District, Toronto, in Canada. Again, the Danish Tavern of Sirampur, West Bengal was discussed as the adaptive reuse project. Then we have discussed about the various heritage legislations and the organizational policies. For the organizational, the first and foremost is the ASI, Archaeological Survey of India. It is a government organization being founded in 1861 during the British rule, and the first Director General of ASI was Alexander Cunningham. Currently, around 3,650 ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains of national importance are being listed and being taken care by the Archaeological Survey of India. Again, the act is AMSAR Act, which is the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act, which was amended in 2010. Other regulations and acts are the Government of India Draft Model Regulation, Revised Model Regulation, again the Model Heritage Bill, State, Town and Country Planning Act, then the World Heritage Sites, Archaeological, Large Archaeological, it deals with the large archaeological and heritage sites, and the Cantonment Act of 2006. Okay, so the organizational issues we have in India in terms of heritage conservation, which is the need for nodal ministry. There is no any nodal ministry which deals in the field of heritage conservation. Proper listing is not being done till now. There is no any centralized listing agency. There is no any heritage advisor and heritage advisory committees as such. So in fact, there was a project of Hriday which we have discussed. 12 cities were identified under the Hriday scheme. Okay, so this is about an NGO called INTAC, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. This deals with various heritage like architectural heritage, natural, material. The other sections are the intangible heritage division. Hex is there, heritage education and communication services, craft and community cell. Chapters are there, Intact Heritage Academy is there. It deals in the field of heritage tourism. Then it also works in the field of heritage listing and documentation. Archives and documentation center is there at Intact New Delhi office. Okay, the other online platform is the Sahapedia. So it is an online platform. The other organizations are Indian Trust for Rural Heritage and Development, then Heritage Foundation, Sahapedia, Calcutta Architectural Legacies, and then the banglanatak.com. This is the online platform. Then the heritage tourism and sustainability we have discussed, how to present and interpret heritage sites. So these are the ways, like in form of information panels we can present it, in museum type displays we can have, formalized walking tours, that are the heritage walks, lectures and guided tours we can have webinars, seminars, and multimedia applications and website we can use. Okay, so this is the another kind of heritage interpretation and presentation in the term of heritage walk. Okay, so it is the heritage tour. Okay, so now United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development have discussed key facts and key figures in terms of culture. The key drivers for action has been taken. It all deals with the crisp. The gist is just including heritage and culture in urban development. Okay, so now coming to the assignment 8 of session 2020. So the first question is, in India, which of the following organizations provide legal provisions to take care of the historic areas around the monuments protected by Archaeological Survey of India? Yeah, so the options are Town and Country Planning Organizations, TCPO, National Monument Authority, NMA, State Government Archaeological Departments, or INTAC, which is Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. So it is saying, which of the following organization provide legal provisions to take care of the historic areas around the monuments, fine, protected by Archaeological Survey of India? Yeah, please answer. Yeah, I'm waiting for the answers, please. Can you please answer? Nureen, Sanrachna, Satupa, Subodh, Yogita. You can even write in the chat box, please. Satupa, am I audible? Okay. C. State Government Archaeological Departments. Okay. So the answer to this is National Monument Authority. Okay. So it provides the legal provisions to take care of the historic areas around the monuments which are protected by Archaeological Survey of India. Fine. Question number 2. Which of the following plays a crucial role in capacity building, publication and research related to heritage conservation in India? Is it INTAC? Is it TCPO? Is it Hriday or is it ASI? INTAC. Okay. Nureen, can you please answer? Yeah, Yogita, please say. आप लोग प्लीज अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लो ना प्लीज. We can just discuss this. We can have the session in interactive mode. So what is INTAC? Can you anybody answer? Can anybody answer? Yogita, yeah, please answer. Yogita and Subodh, please answer. What is INTAC? Yeah, Satupa, are you answering?
Yes, I think it is INTAC.
Yeah, the answer is INTAC or anything. I'm asking what is INTAC?
Oh, that is a NGO organization, non-governmental organization. They work with a lot of deal with artifacts, buildings, cultural heritage, intangible heritage, and all of it.
Okay. So it deals with all the type of heritage like architectural heritage,
Yeah.
natural heritage, material
Yes.
heritage, even intangible heritage. They have education. They also provide education and communication services. They have Intact Heritage Academy. They have archives. They have craft cells. Okay, and this is an NGO. The full form of this is Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. Fine. What is TCPO?
Yes.
Please, Nureen, can you answer? What is TCPO? Yogita, Subodh. So it is
Ta-
Town and Country Planning
Town and
Organization.
Country Planning Organization.
Correct. What is Hriday?
Full form.
Yeah, you can say the full form or what is it? Is it an organization? Is it an NGO? Is it a government organization? Or
So
what is it?
Hriday is basic.
Yeah. Yeah, Noreen,
So
please answer.
Hriday, yeah, so it simply stands for the Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. That
Mm-hmm.
was basically being held to, I think, to preserve the soul of heritage city, or to matlab, involve the private sectors and everything to facilitate the heritage on urban level.
Yeah,
So
correct,
yeah,
correct. Actually, Hridaya is Heritage City, correct, she said. Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana, and this is a scheme which was launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India in 2015, and it was closed in 2019. It was a short-term scheme, fine, and in under this scheme, 12 cities were identified. Okay, please remember, 12 cities were identified under the scheme to be developed under the scheme. So the main motto of the scheme was to develop infrastructural facilities in and around the heritage areas in the history in the heritage cities. Okay?
Mm.
And the 12 cities were uh, I can miss some of them, but those were Amravati, Amritsar, Dwarka, Mathura, Varanasi, Gaya, Puri, Warangal, Velankani. Have I answered them all? Mathura, okay. Others you please check. Okay. Then the fourth one is ASI. ASI you all know, Archaeological Survey of India. Fine. So the answer
Mm.
to this is intact. So intact works in the field of capacity building, of course, building publication and research related to heritage conservation in India. Okay. Question number 3. Distillery district in Ontario, Canada is adapted to which type of new use? So what type of adaptive reuse to this distillery district in Ontario has been done? Is it large scale transport terminal has been developed, or it is now working as social housing, or pedestrian friendly art, culture and entertainment hub, or resort and health spa?
pedestrian friendly art, culture, and entertainment. See,
Okay. Anybody else? We have just discussed, I think, ना हम लोगों ने अभी just वो पढ़ा है distillery district in Ontario of Canada. So it was the adaptive reuse for the same was done, and yeah, C is the answer, correct, Yogita. And the pedestrian friendly art, culture and entertainment hub has been created, and it has been now used as pedestrian friendly art and cultural hub. Okay. Question number 4. Which of the following is not relevant to the recommendations given for heritage regulation in Mumbai? So it is talking about Mumbai. Which of the following is not relevant to the recommendations given for the heritage regulations in Mumbai? Is it stronger punitive action against MHCC violations, or discourage renaming of the historic structures, or special funding for government buildings, or is it innovative tax incentives to support conservation? So the fourth is talking about tax incentives to support conservation. Yeah, Satyapa, please. Are you answering?
Maybe A.
Okay. So what is MHCC violation?
Uh, Maharashtra
Okay.
housing something
Uh-huh.
because the B is discouraging remaining the historical structures is obviously within this act, within this, and special funding is needed for the buildings, and innovative tax intensive should be also within this. So the
Correct.
A is not, I don't know the.
Okay. So the answer to this is C, spatial funding for government building. Okay.
Oh,
So it is not relevant to the recommendations given for heritage regulation in Mumbai. Fine. And MHCC stands for Mumbai Heritage Conservation Committee. Okay.
okay.
So spatial funding for government building is not relevant to the recommendations given for heritage regulation in Mumbai. Fine. Okay. Question number 5. The inclusion of building in heritage list does not mean that the development is not permitted. Is it true or false? Okay.
Development is permitted.
true.
Means true or false? What do you want to say?
The
True.
inclusion of the building
Okay, it
is
is this sentence is
strong.
little bit twisting. So the inclusion
Yes.
of building in a heritage list. So okay, a heritage list has been prepared and the building, any heritage site is being included in that list. So that it does it mean that the development is not permitted now? If that building
No.
has been listed in the heritage list? Yeah,
No, the development is permitted.
permitted. Okay, okay, okay. So the answer is okay. So what is the answer?
True.
Is does not mean. Fine. So it is
Yes.
true. Correct. Okay. Okay, ये तो अभी जस्ट हमने डिस्कस किया. Identify the type of townscape element depicted in the image of heritage zones shown below. So which type of
Green.
element is this?
Grain.
Grain. Okay,
Grain.
okay, okay, okay. So the first picture is showing which type of grain?
Coarse green.
Coarse grain, correct. And the second picture,
Fine.
it is the fine grain. And the
Fine
third
grain.
picture, we can say it is in middle of that. Fine. So the answer is grain. So grain explains the texture of the historic property, topography, morphology, and the build form. It is in terms of coarse grain and fine grain. Okay. Question number 7. Why should adaptive reuse be given priority over demolition? So there are two terms. Okay. First is adaptive reuse and second is demolition. So why should the adaptive reuse be preferred over demolition? Options are it bypasses wasteful process of demolition, or it has environmental benefit, energy savings and social advantage, or provides a glimpse of our past while lending character, or all of the above.
All of the above.
Okay. How?
All of them.
कैसे?
Uh,
मतलब पहला जो है वेस्टफुल प्रोसेस ऑफ डिमोलिशन को तो वो बाईपास करता ही है. इट हैज रिड्यूस द
हाँ.
वेस्टफुल प्रोसेस ऑफ डिमोलिशन. इन्वायरमेंटल बेनिफिट कैसे है? इफ वी गो
Demolish
फॉर
करने से.
हाँ हाँ
हाँ.
हाँ बोलो बताइए.
नहीं नहीं बताइए ना.
एनवायरमेंटल बेनिफिट कैसे है इफ वी गो फॉर द अडेप्टिव रीयूज in spite of demolition? How it has environmental benefit or the energy saving or social advantage? How? ऑफ कोर्स इन्वायरमेंटल बेनिफिट तो है ही ना. हम लोग डिमोलिशन नहीं कर रहे हैं. वी आर नॉट क्रिएटिंग पॉल्यूशन. वी आर नॉट यूजिंग न्यू मटेरियल्स. वी आर सेविंग द मटेरियल्स. वी आर not leaving the carbon footprints. It has environmental benefit. Similarly, it has energy savings and it has a social advantage as of course because it is creating a sense of belongingness. ठीक है, क्योंकि वो पास्ट में बिल्डिंग बनी है, लोग उससे अटैच्ड फील करते हैं. सो वो सोशल एडवांटेज तो है ही
हाँ.
उसके साथ. एंड इट प्रोवाइड्स अ ग्लिम्स ऑफ आवर पास्ट वाइल लेंडिंग कैरेक्टर, है ना. सो ऑल ऑफ द अबव विल बी द आंसर आई थिंक. ओके. Question number 8. Identify the most evident element of townscape depicted in the picture of the heritage zone. Is it building line, or is it silhouette? Is it building setback or scale?
Silhouette.
Sorry?
Silhouette. It's D.
Silhouette. Okay, okay. What is silhouette? Can you please answer? Can you please elaborate what is this? So this is the skyline, and a skyline of that heritage zones.
It's basically an outline of the
Outline, exactly,
built
exactly.
structures. Yeah.
Built structures, yeah. Question number 9. Danish Tavern in Serampur of West Bengal is an example of, is it the example of adaptive
Adaptive reuse.
reuse? Okay. Preservation of heritage monuments, maintaining its original use, redevelopment and reproduction. The answer is adaptive reuse. Fine. Question number 10. Which of the following is not advisable while undertaking rehabilitation of a heritage building? Which is not advisable? Is it historic character shall be retained, preserving maximum original fabric? Or is it buildings and their surroundings must not be harmed during the rehabilitation process? Building elements should be repaired rather than replaced, or if an element cannot be repaired, then a replacement must not be identical in appearance and material to the original.
D.
D. Okay. Anyone else?
D.
मतलब first three is in cognizance with the rehabilitation project of any heritage and building. Okay, so these are in the positive sense, and the fourth one is, it is saying that if an element cannot be repaired, then the replacement must not be identical. Okay, so the answer is D. Fine.
Sir, will you go for question number 9, Danish Tavern?
Hmm.
Okay, D is reproduction and of a Danish building. Okay, okay, okay,
To showcase
okay,
Danish cuisine and culture.
okay.
So it was
But
not
it is.
reproduced, it is adaptive reuse of the same instant. It is not reproduced. Fine.
Yes, 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 yes.
Hmm. Okay then. So we have discussed
Mm.
all the questions. We have discussed the topics which were
I have,
discussed. Yeah, yeah, please.
sir, I have one question. Intech is a NGO organization. So how they collect fund for their works to some repair works or anything else?
Correct, correct. It
If
is
they
an
do,
it is a non-government organization, and in fact it works on the motto of no profit no loss. तो ये फंड कहाँ से लाती है? करेक्ट. तो
hmm,
हाँ, तो ये इन्हें जो फंडिंग मिलती है, गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स ये लेते हैं. ठीक है, इंटैक्ट टेक्स गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट, एंड फॉर दैट दे चार्ज द कंसल्टेंसी फीस. करेक्ट. तो दिस
okay.
इज द मेजर सोर्स ऑफ देयर funding. Fine. Secondly, they
Hmm,
accept donations. Fine.
okay. Hmm,
They accept donations. Third, Intac is a membership organization. Fine. So
hmm,
they
hmm,
accept money, they accept revenue in terms of membership fees. Fine. So
hmm.
I think the individual membership charge is around 5,000 for the life.
5,000.
5,000 for the life membership, and for institutional membership it is around, I think, lakh or something like that. Okay, if an institution want to be a member of that NGO, like any institution, like any college or any organization want to be a member of that institute, that NGO, so the NGO charge around lakh or 1.5 lakhs or something like that. So these are the major sources of income for them, and from that fund they used to give salaries to their professionals and to their employees, and work on several other projects. ठीक है. एक तो
Sir,
प्रोजेक्ट वो
another.
गवर्नमेंट का करती है जिसके लिए उन्हें कंसल्टेंसी फीस मिलती है. सेकेंडली
हाँ,
वो अपने फंड
सर
से कुछ
समझ रहे
कुछ,
हैं.
हाँ, अपने फंड से कुछ कुछ रेस्टोरेशन वर्क करती है जिसका वो उन्हें फंडिंग मिलता है. या
सर और एक तो क्वेश्चन है. अगर सोचिए मेरा एक तो बिल्डिंग, कोई ओनर वो उधर मतलब लिविंग हेरिटेज हो गया, गवर्नमेंट और लोकल गवर्नमेंट अनाउंस दिस एज ए हेरिटेज, so what should we do that with the owner will stay within that house, and how he keep the maintenance or protection of his
करेक्ट.
building.
इफ एनी बिल्डिंग इज बीइंग डिक्लेयर्ड एट हेरिटेज बाय द गवर्नमेंट, ठीक है, तो जो ओनर ऑफ द
Hmm.
बिल्डिंग है दे विल गेट इंसेंटिव्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनुअल मेंटेनेंस फॉर दैट बिल्डिंग. ठीक है. और एल्स
Okay.
the owner have the right or have the opportunity, they can just leave the building. Fine. And they will
Hmm.
get a handsome amount in compensation of that building, and then the government will take over that building, and they will use some or kind of adaptive reuse वो करेंगे गवर्नमेंट, उसे म्यूजियम में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं और एनीथिंग लाइक दैट. ठीक है, होटल बना सकते हैं और एनीथिंग. ठीक है. तो दो ऑप्शंस है, दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन द गवर्नमेंट स्ट्रक्चर और द गवर्नमेंट गाइडलाइंस. अगर उनके पास बाईलॉज में है इस तरह से, कोई भी प्राइवेट बिल्डिंग को वो अगर हेरिटेज डिक्लेयर करते हैं, ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट जो होगा, जो वहाँ के रेजिडेंट होंगे, जो उसके ओनर होंगे, दे विल नॉट बी विलिंग टू वैकेट दैट बिल्डिंग, राइट, क्योंकि वो उनका भी
Hmm. Hmm.
उसके साथ एक बिलोंगिंगनेस होगा बिल्डिंग के साथ. तो वो
हाँ.
रहेंगे, बट दैट जो भी काम उसमें होगा, जो भी मेंटेनेंस होगा, दैट विल बी गाइडेड बाय द गाइडलाइंस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है.
Okay.
लेकिन दिस विल बी नॉट ए बर्डन टू दैट ओनर. अगर वो उनको फील कर लगता है कि उनके ऊपर बर्डन है, तो इन दैट केस देयर इज द प्रोविजन ऑफ इंसेंटिव्स एंड ऑल. ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट उन्हें इंसेंटिव्स देती है फॉर रेगुलर मेंटेनेंस ऑफ दैट. इनफैक्ट गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड्स कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड्स प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज टू देम. जैसे ओनर को तो नहीं पता ना कि इस बिल्डिंग के इस कॉर्निस को कैसे मैं, है ना, कंजर्व करूं, कैसे प्रिजर्व करूं.
Yes.
तो उसके
हाँ
लिए
हाँ
टेक्निकल सुपरविजन एंड टेक्निकल सपोर्ट देती है गवर्नमेंट, ठीक है।
अच्छा
एंड दीज आर ऑल गवर्न्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस। और ये जरूरी नहीं है सभी जगह एक ही रूल फॉलो होगा, वो जो लोकल वहाँ का जो भी रूल्स एंड बाईलॉज हो दैट विल बी फॉलोड। That only is missing na in Indian case. Like there is no any
हम्म
centralized ministry for that and no any centralized heritage committee as such. तो इसलिए ये सारे जो है ना वो थोड़ा सा लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे सारा कुछ निर्भर होता है। फाइन।
हम्म
या एनीथिंग एल्स? हाउ इज द प्रिपरेशन फॉर द एग्जाम? आई थिंक द एग्जाम इज ऑन संडे। या Nuri?
Yes, sir,
Satapa?
it's going really well.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, good. So yesterday was the live session by ma'am, है ना? So how was it, Satapa? Are all your
uh,
doubts were cleared in the session?
yes sir.
Okay. So you all have joined now that session, the doubt clearing session by ma'am.
But the procedure is that I can't ask my question because the questionnaire link is separate. So at that moment I couldn't
Okay. It means it
ask
was not
some question.
interactive kind of thing, right?
It is interactive. Somebody asked some questions, but I couldn't because I don't
Okay.
know the technical know-how maybe.
Okay. Maybe it would be the problem. चलो, लेकिन इतने सारे लोग क्वेश्चंस पूछे होंगे ना, तो यू माइट हैव गॉट द आइडिया, है ना?
Yes sir.
हाँ. Okay, anything else? So I think this is the last session for this course. Anything else, Noreen? I think Noreen and Satupa, you have been constant in this session, at least in my session. Sanrachana was also there.
Yes, sir.
So Noreen, what are you doing now?
So I did my graduation last year. Abhi I'm working as an architect and researcher in a research organization in New Delhi only.
Okay. So in
Yeah.
any heritage field or something other?
Like I earlier was working with Intac only.
Oh,
I
great.
worked there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
you
then I
might be
shifted
aware
to
of Intact's working culture and all, है ना?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you were there in architectural heritage division?
Hanji, sir. Yes, I was
So you
in the
might be knowing
H
Vijaya
division.
ma'am and Divya Gupta sir, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good.
So you
And
also worked there?
yeah, I worked there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at Intact for around 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Satupa?
I'm working in Southeastern Railway.
I think you have completed your PhD, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In
Southeastern Railway
yeah,
as an architect
but
or what?
in all over the India there is no architecture department in Indian Railway. So that
Okay.
is not architecture department.
Okay.
That is
Actually, I'm not aware of that.
yes. Nobody know that in Indian Railway there is no architect, no
Okay. So
architectural
so
post
how their
also.
how their planning and construction work is being done? They take care of consultancy services?
Yes,
Okay.
they ask some consultant and they
Okay. So
provide the drawings and
on what
government
post
pass
you
as
are?
well.
So on what post you
I
are
mean,
there?
I'm an assistant architect. They ask sometimes this type of post. I am in the civil engineering department,
Okay.
and all on include. There is a heritage committee in our office, and I am part of that committee. And now we are working some heritage related works because our building is one of the heritage and wonderful structure. If you find that BNR building,
Mm-hmm.
so I am associated with that building and very much history is related with that building.
Oh, great.
And at that area also,
Mm-hmm.
Wajid Ali Shah, when came in Calcutta, he took in house arrest within one of our premises building, BNR House.
Okay.
And William Jones, the founder of Asiatic Society, also lived within our
Okay.
compound in a bungalow. So
So
we have lot of
so
history
that building
attached
was
with this.
originally built for what purpose? So in which your office is there?
Uh, uh, in my office building is built for the office purpose, but
Oh,
other buildings are once upon a time European bungalows are there. the
Okay,
Supreme
okay.
Court lawyers, etc., and higher authority of very much various posts of
Okay, they used to reside there.
Europeans are still, yes.
Okay, means
That
that
is
is a
more than
perfect
200
example
years.
of that is also an example of adaptive reuse, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because all the bungalows are now being used as offices of railways, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
residential purpose also.
yeah, actually, there was a concept of civil lines during the colonial rule, right? So
Yes,
we used to see civil lines in all the important cities we can see, and the
yes,
civil lines areas were mainly having the colonial buildings, the colonial residences, right?
yes. And township system is first
Township system, yeah.
introduced by the Britishers and through
Hmm.
the railways. The
Through the
railway
railways.
colonies are,
Yeah, yeah. So most of the railway colonies, in fact, all the railway colonies were developed during that time only, during
yes.
the colonial rule only, and it have a wonderful architecture. है ना
Yes,
सारे
I love
buildings
that.
yeah correct actually in my city also the railway houses the bungalows even the railway quarters they are having wonderful architecture pattern and the
Where, sir?
I am from Bihar I am from Gaya.
Okay.
So in fact Gaya is also a heritage city you might be aware.
Yes.
uh, you might have visited both Gaya or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that is also a heritage city and that was also a part of Hridaya scheme. Gaya was also a
Okay.
Hridaya city. Okay,
I
then,
I traveled.
yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
No,
Okay.
no, please,
There's a
please,
lot of
please.
story.
No, no, please. You were saying something.
No, Gaya is adjacent. Have lot of heritage. The history, Jarasandha to the Buddhist sculpture and the Ashokan inscription, all are in and around Gaya area.
Gaya
Is
only.
it?
Correct. Even you were talking
Yes.
about Jarasandh, who was the king of Magad region. Right,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
it is just around 70 kilometers from our city. And in fact, the Ashokan pillars and the Mahabodhi temple, which is a World Heritage Site. So it was originally built by Ashoka. So it is in the city itself. Gaya, Bodh Gaya is in the city itself. Again, it is also having a Buddhist Hindu connection. It is having the Vishnupad temple, the footprints of Lord Vishnu. So it has heritage in terms of built heritage, in terms of temples, colonial buildings. Even it has a rich natural heritage. Around
Oh,
6 or 7 sacred hills are there inside the city. Means in the jurisdiction of the city, in the municipal boundary, around 20
okay.
25 sacred sarovars are there which are sacred,
Oh,
religiously important. Then river is there, River Falgu, which is a
yes,
sacred
yes,
river.
Falgu. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So that is there. So it is sacred in all terms. So I have spoken a lot about my city. Okay. Then any question more? Any more questions? Yeah, Yogita, Subodh is raising hand from I think half an hour, but not saying anything. So okay then, it was nice interacting with you all, and some of you were really good audience and good learners. You were present in all the sessions, in all the 8 sessions, and it was nice interacting with you all. Okay, okay then, bye
Thank you.
bye. Thanks, thank you all of you. Thank you for making the sessions a wonderful session, and it was quite interactive. Okay then, bye. Good night.
Bye
Good night.
bye. Good night.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah. Okay, good luck to everyone. Best of luck for your examinations. Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, someone is asking to now join. Who is there? Okay, Parnavi, I think the session is over. You have joined very late. Okay, thank you then. Bye bye. Bye. Good night.